Welcome to tigerLAB Byte, our content stream that informs, inspires, and brings us together again. Byte will virtually bring you here into the boardroom of Curzon building, where you will meet the lifeblood of our university, those that initiate and transform thoughts and minds. Of course, I'm referring to our academics. Okay guys, so in this Byte I'm with Chris Edger, Professor of Management Practice, who has recently written Advanced Leader Coaching, a book for coaches, leaders of all levels of business and anyone who's interested in increasing leadership performance. The book is packed with models, with questions and tips for coaches and leaders themselves. So tell us, Chris, so why did you co-write this book?
Well, Raj, a few reasons really. First of all, when I looked at the coaching market, there's a lot of books on executive coaching and life coaching, not a lot on leadership coaching. Also, there's a real need. I mean, if you look at hyper-digitalization these days, the need for leadership has never been greater. I mean, people are isolated, socially distanced, well, certainly in the current environment. And when you talk to people on the line, when you talk to managers and you say, what do you think's lacking in this organization most? They say leadership. So frankly, working it back, you say, do you know what? There's a real need to coach leaders at all levels within organizations. And also, the last thing I'd say is for the last 10 years, I've run courses here at BCU and I've coached in a personal capacity as well, hundreds of managers. And the techniques that I've developed over the last decade really came together. I thought, well, let's put it together in a book, which acts as an instruction to other coaches.
So tell us, Chris, the actual real essence of this book.
The real essence is, it's quite simple, Raj. It's really simple. Me and my co-author, Dr. Noleg Heffernan, when we looked at it, when we looked at how you coach leaders and how coaches should approach leadership coaching, it's three things, okay? First of all, you approach, or what you're seeking to do is look at how they're feeling, how they're thinking and feeling, and calibrating that, and we'll delve into that in a minute. Secondly, how they behave, which then leads into how they perform. So it's feel and think, behave, perform. And that's the central premise of the book. And it goes in that order as well, is that you need to start with the internal conversation. What do people really think and feel? And if you want people to lead, they have to lead themselves.
We've got a question here from Dean Smith, and the question is...
Hi Raj, a question for Chris. In the book, how do leader coaches optimise leader performance?
Okay, right, so you're a coach. You could be a manager, a leader within an organisation who is coaching others. You can be an external consultant, you can be an independent coach, and before you've got somebody who wants to up their leadership impact and performance. Okay? So what do? The first thing that we're saying in the book is you have to look at personal growth first. So you have to address their levels of personal growth. What do we mean by that? Well, first of all, you've got to look at, what are they thinking? What do they feel? Where are they mentally, psychologically? Because in order to lead, you have to know yourself. To know others, you have to know yourself. So that's the start point for leader coaching. And the first part of that, as the model in the book shows, is you have to raise their levels of self-awareness. And how do you do that? What you tend to find with a lot of leaders and managers who want to be better leaders is they don't really know themselves. They really don't know themselves. They're blind to what their behaviors are really like. And also, in terms of their hidden self, they mask their true feelings. And they haven't been honest with themselves in terms of where they are psychologically. And it's the task of a coach, really, to raise levels of self-awareness so that people can really confront the things that are stopping them, the barriers. You then move on to what we call mental toughness, which is helping leaders understand how they build their levels of resilience. The amount of stress in organizations at this current time, and generally through digitalization, is such that people feel lost, overwhelmed, confronted with issues that they just can't solve. And if you delve into mental toughness, for men, generally, over the last 10 years, we've tested a mental MTQ48 mental toughness test with hundreds of managers. Most men lack emotional control and react to stress poorly and emote and lose a lot of time and resilience issues there. And with women, it mainly resides around confidence and can I do this? Am I good enough? Will I get that, etc., etc. So what the coach has to do secondly is build mental toughness, then increase capacity, which is the ability, installed capacity to operate, which is about better time management, focus, and then moving through this construct, which is personal growth, which is going into leadership style. How do people approach other people? How do they lead? What is their style? What is the fit? What is the situation? And then lastly, we talk about transitioning roles and careers. And from a personal point of view, how do people handle that? So the first construct is the person and personal growth. And it's about how people think and feel. And it's the coach's task, and we do it with questions, models, instruction in the book, is how we can guide coaches, help coaches to get leaders onto the right track psychologically before they go on to the next phase, which is behave, which is quite right, interpersonal growth. So you've addressed the person, and we've looked at thinking and feeling and personal growth. We then look at interpersonal growth, which is other, so it's self, other. What kind of impact do you have on others? How do you motivate employees? How do you ignite customers? How do you align stakeholders? These are the sorts of issues then the coach has to address, because fundamentally businesses, organizations, they're nothing without teams, nothing. And your ability to charge up and ignite teams it's the litmus test for leadership. Leadership is the transfer of passion. Leadership is about ignition. It's about emotion. It's about relationships. It's about collaboration. No man or woman is an island unto themselves. And having addressed that initial question, which is, and I've talked to you about this before, Raj, but once you've moved people into a positive state, and there's this saying that most humans live their lives in a state of quiet desperation. Once you've released somebody from that state of quiet desperation through giving them a sense of perspective, a sense of insight into the way that they feel, and then they're charged up and they can charge other people up, they can animate other people. They've got infectious, they're contagious in terms of their optimism, their proactivity, and so on and so forth. Then you can really ignite organizations. So that's the second part, which is behave. Positive behaviors, proactive behaviors, which then leads on to our third construct in the book, which is business growth. So you've got personal growth, interpersonal growth, business growth. Think, behave, perform. And here, it's very interesting, a recent study by Korn Ferry established that the leadership traits that are needed for the next 10 years, they did a huge international survey, and they looked at all the skills that were needed. And it was surprising how many of those skills were soft skills, in terms of resilience, self-awareness was in there, creativity, innovation, especially around technology and data collection. We now get to business. Businesses are nothing unless they innovate, especially given the speed of technological change. So therefore, the coach has got to be in a position, we write about how coaches can spark a change culture, how they can help drive innovation, how they can inspire creativity amongst the leaders that they're coaching, and also clarify strategy and grip operations. So essentially, this is the delivery part of the book, which is you've set them up from a psychological point of view, they're set up in terms of an interpersonal view, and now it's about delivery, it's about performance, okay? Because businesses have a responsibility to be economically successful, they have a responsibility to be legally responsible, ethical and philanthropic. But the start point is they are economically successful, which benefits all stakeholders, both within and without the organisation.
Okay, I've got a question here from one of our students, Dhanusha. Dhanusha, your question.
Thanks, Raj. My question to Chris is, are all leaders coachable?
Dhanusha, that's a fantastic question. And you know what? The answer is, and again, Raj, we've spoken about this, no, they're not, actually. And we write about this in the conclusion of the book, that frankly, some people don't even get off first base. They have no readiness for a coaching conversation. They have poor levels of self-awareness. But really it comes down to 4 typologies. The type of people that aren't coachable, unfortunately, Dhanusha, are toxics, who basically are there within organizations. They gain power through misinformation, and they maintain power through playing people off against one another. Egotists, they're completely blind to their behavior. They don't even realize, it's got such an inflated ego. They frankly are well avoided. The clueless, people who've been promoted, the Peter principle, been promoted into positions where, frankly, they've been lucky, and actually they've been promoted beyond, their levels of competence. And the reckless, people who've got to positions within organizations through taking risks, but their luck's running out. And actually, they don't want to be coached.
Have they been found out?
They are going to get found out, but they don't want to be coached. So, and there are also, I'd put on top of that, although it's connected to those 4 typologies, there are also people who just don't get the human factor. They deny it. They deny its efficacy. And perhaps with the growth of social media and the distance that people have and the lack of social contact that people are able to get away with, and the devolvement of managerialism to other people, they frankly don't care. They don't want to lead. They want to lead by numbers. So, as regrettable as it might seem, there are certain people that are uncoachable. Thankfully, you'll find that most people are, but there are some people that aren't.
So hey, thanks Chris. Lots of key points to learn and reflect on. Love the bit about starting with that internal conversation and raising self-awareness. There you go, from thinking to behaving and of course performing. Talking about performing, over to you Mike in the middle of the boardroom for something different.
Thanks Raj, and for something different, I'm here again with Francesco, one of our PhD students from BCU, and he's also a strength and conditioning coach from Worcester Warriors Rugby Club. He's here today to help us with some exercises for us stuck behind computers at home and back in the office. Francesco.
Hi Mike, thanks for this. So in this episode we're going to work on something different and perform a different type of exercise. Okay, we're going to do some movement and exercise for our neck muscles. I know it's very uncommon, but it's very important because those muscles are often not used in the right way. So this exercise is very good, it's very recommended for those people that sit at a chair and work all day in front of the laptop. I'm going to show some movement, how to perform, and some key points for this movement, and then if you want to have a go, that would be great. Okay, Mike, thanks for this. Okay, in this episode, we're going to work with the neck muscles. It's very important because those sort of muscles are not very used and not common to be trained. Okay, so what we need to do this time is we sit on a chair, okay, and we need to press our head against our hand in an isometric contraction. So we put the hand to the side of the head and we actually active push the head against the hand and hold for 10 seconds this way. Okay, you need to feel activate the side muscle of your neck. Okay, it's very important that you relax your shoulder down and you press with your head against your hand. Okay, one side and the other side. Maintain a straight posture and shoulder down all the time. It's very important that we relax the shoulder, we don't rise the shoulder like that, okay? Because remember, we need to work with the side muscle of our neck, okay? It's very something different, very unusual, but we're going to do it. Do you want to try?
I think even I can do this one.
Yeah.
Feeling good about this one.
Okay, so don't bend your head too much, stay straight, okay? Shoulder relax and push against your hand. Oh, much better. How do you feel?
Yeah, you can feel it in the neck now. It's good.
That's good. Try the other time, the other side. Okay, a little bit straight back. Here we go. Magic.
Yeah,
Yes.
that feels different.
How was that?
That feels different, yeah. When you told me what to do technically, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so perform these for 3 sets and hold the position for 10 seconds. Have a go and see the results.
Thanks, Francesco. Looking forward to the next exercise on the next episode.
And how's your body feel after those exercises?
Feeling good.
Hey, thanks, Mike. I too am feeling good. So from squat the chair to these wonderful neck exercises. Okay, guys, now it's time. It's time with Tilly.
Okay, so Rog, I'm assured you've changed that stupid opening that we did in the last tigerLAB bite. So, welcome everybody. I think again another great session. Fantastic talk from Chris Edger about leadership, leader coaching. More importantly, spoke really passionately and a lot of food for thought. And one of the things, sort of wrapping up this edition, is thinking about how do we share that fantastic experience we have with our future leaders, with our current leaders, with our young leaders, with our fellow work colleagues. Really interesting article talking about how a chef said it takes him 15 years of experience to go into one dish. So every meal he creates, he had his 15 years of experience to create that morsel. And he says, and part of the fun of his job is it only takes 10 minutes for somebody then to eat it. And I think part of what tigerLAB Bites is around is condensing 15 years of business experience in charity, experience in the world of work, experience of wherever, condensing it and producing it in a bite-sized morsel where we can get some real satisfaction from it. I think equally importantly in the future, and again, this ties back into what Chris has said around coaching and mentoring and leader development, is how really important it is to ensure our future leaders, our students and our recent graduates get the benefit of the experience of those who've had 15 years of perfecting their dish. We have a mentoring program at BCU that we're incredibly proud of. We're incredibly proud of the fantastic students, how they engage in it, but we're also incredibly proud of the businesses who engage in our mentoring program. They give their time for nothing, they give their experience for nothing. Well, that's not true, because what they get out of it is engagement with our fantastic students. So to wrap up this week's Tiger Bites, it'd be fantastic if any members of our business community, any of our partners, colleagues, would like to volunteer and support our future leaders via our mentorship program. Thank you. That one all right?
Okay, guys, so that brings us to the end of our bite. Thank you to Chris, Mike, Francesco, and Matt. And thanks, Matt, for reminding us about mentoring. And also thank you to Dean and Dhanusha for your questions. And of course, thanking our partners from Near Star Media, Max and Juliana. Okay guys, so stay safe and stay in touch. So like, subscribe and share. We are BCU. See you at the next bites.